If you can hear us over the din, there's Hector Camacho now in the ring. Champion and challenger are about to emerge into the glare of the spotlight as Terry Marsh gets set to defend the light welterweight championship of the world. And at the ringside, Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge.
So the lights are dim now, and the rounds board lady is just leading him in there, the Japanese challenger, Akio Kameda, 5 feet 10, which is very tall for a welterweight, and I think a little bit of a tricky opponent. Number 7 rated by the International Boxing Federation, and that's too long to go into, but it's all a bit about the politics of the game. When he dropped out of the other organisations, then he went down in the ratings a bit at the IBF, who then started to recognise him. But I would think a useful journeyman at best anyway. Got an ex-fighter working with him in the corner, who I'm afraid was a top fighter, but I have trouble pronouncing his name. We can certainly manage Kameda anyway. They were going to use some imported Mexican gloves, but I think in the end they've settled for the British make. So a very polite introduction there with this almost disco lights then for the challenger. So the cheers then, obviously for the local hero. And there's manager Frank Warren and trainers Potty Waters leading Terry Marsh into the ring, their hands on the shoulders of Waters, getting all the encouragement you would expect. A very popular character indeed. Here to not only to defend that very valuable world championship, but to retain the unbeaten record. And I love the wink to the camera there. That's a touch of the old East Ender and the cheekiness. And all the hard work now from the very junior days and so forth. I'm told that he's actually going to gross £147,000 for this. One or two stoppages will come out, like Her Majesty's income tax, but that's what he'll gross, and that's not bad. Well, there we go. One of these days he's going to miss that top rope. I think probably that'll be the time that Terry Marsh might decide to retire, when he flicks the top rope.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding for the national anthems?
the IBF version of the winning belt, but of course that he beat an American Joe Manley at Basildon.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the main event of the evening. Frank Warren presents a light welterweight contest of 15 3-minute rounds, sponsored by Natural Vitality, for the IBF Light Welterweight Championship of the World. Presenting and introducing in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, from Japan, the challenger with a record of 27 wins and 3 losses, Akio Kameda. And from Basildon, ladies and gentlemen, with a record of 23 wins and 1 draw, undefeated, the light welterweight champion of the world, Marsh. At the weigh-in today, both boxers scaled 10 stones exactly. The officials for this contest, ladies and gentlemen, judges from the USA, Joe Pascal, from Denmark, Ove Overson, from England, Roland Dakin, the referee from the USA, Mr. Randy Newman, and the IBF supervisor from the USA, Mr. Walter Stone. Referee for this contest is Mr. Timekeeper, Mr. Ray Rice.
So there's the man actually who refereed the last time for Terry Marsh, Randy Newman, former heavyweight, who boxed in this country, defeated Billy Aird. So there's the rundown on the height there. They're both the same height. That does surprise me. I thought Kameda was a little bit more, actually, but there you go. So the height shouldn't be that much of an advantage, but the right-hand forward southpaw style, well, that just might. Scheduled for 15 rounds, the old-fashioned distance, as we call it, at 10 stone. That's between lightweight and welterweight. That's the light welter, or the junior welterweight, that's known as well. But I don't like that title. It sounds like they're 2 kids. In fact, they're 29 and 30 years old. So now let's see how Terry Marsh is going to cope with a very awkward style, I get the impression. I've only seen videos of Kameda, haven't seen him in the flesh. During the playing of the anthems, Terry Marsh is jogging the whole time and staring at the challenger. He's really total concentration. And I have to say, the Royal Albert Hall atmosphere is buzzing here for this championship. They're already into songs. So we're at first minute then, the path finding, as it were, over. And it looks as though Marsh is going to play a bit of a chess game at the start. And, remember, he was a junior chess champion, but it's a bit difficult with gloves on. He's been a bit prone to cuts in his time, apparently, the Japanese, so I'm not sure what happened there. What a good punch there. He turned that left. There's going to be a lead, and he switched it to an uppercut, Marsh. Going to be one of Marsh's many thinking fights, Jim, I suspect.
Yeah, well, Marsh has had no trouble whatsoever landing punches in the first round anyway. I thought it may have taken him a few rounds with the southpaw stance to solve him out. But Kameda doesn't move as sharply as I expected. And his chin is actually a bit stationary. Terry's been finding it without really trying, with some nice little crisp jab.
He's a bit of a willing fighter, Kameda, my Japanese boxing informants say, that he'll stand there and trade, sometimes to his detriment, but he does it. He hasn't been active enough for me to be well, he's a serious threat. All challengers are serious threat. They've got so much to win and little to lose. thing about Terry Marsh now, we know he's proved his durability. He's only taken one very short count early in his career, only his fourth fight down in Southend. So then there's the countdown for the end of the first. For the scouting reports are over now as far as the old Marine's concerned, I'm sure. We know now what how he's got to deal with this Japanese. And there's a rundown for the world champion, one of your genuine Eastenders, actually born in Stepney, now living in Basildon and serving with the Fire Force in Tilbury most of the time there. And Kameda then is a year older, and he fought for the World Championship against one of the great fighters, rather sadly gone off the scene now, Aaron Pryor, which he was stopped and wasn't unexpected really. He took a few counts as well, and the only other two losses were against the same guy, and that was in Korea, where, you know, they use that old expression about you've got to knock them out there to get a draw. But they were both cuts, so we don't pay too much attention to those losses. And we're into round two. Good, confident round, I thought, there by Marsh, Jim.
Yep, Marsh certainly got the better of things. Kameda didn't really show us anything at all. None of his own work had any sharpness about it. And even now, there goes Marsh's jab, knocking his head back. It looks as though it's far easier to hit Kameda than we'd first feared. Keeping in mind it is a 15-rounder, so it's quite possible Kameda was just having a little look in the first round. I'm obviously sure he must have a lot more to show than he did show in the first round.
Well, 30 can be a great divide in the fight game for boxers at this weight. That's Kameda's age. And it's about 20 years since the Japanese was in this ring challenging for the World Championship against Howard Winston, and that was stopped on a cut officially, but the ring got invaded as well. And the referee for that, Roland Daking, is actually one of the appointed judges here. Oh, he keeps doing that. That's a very cocky punch, Jim, isn't it? Sort of a left-hand uppercut. It's a way to beat the southpaw, and you being an ex-southpaw.
Yeah, well, the best thing is to get outside the southpaw's jab and come over the top of his jab with your own, and Marsh has been doing that seemingly effortlessly.
Warning there to keep punches up. But it really is a peach of a punch, as they say. Difficult to stop. Tremendous concentration.
I think Marsh has cut over the right eye, Reg. See a smear of blood.
Oh, he shot that right hand in there, which is a sign that if he is cut, he knows he's got to do something about it. Yes, he is cut over the right eye, Jim. You're right to confirm that. I was just talking about his concentration at that point, but he must have got caught as they ran in. Might have been a bit of a head clash going there. I certainly didn't see a punch doing it. He has been cut before, by the way, Marsh. And he's got experienced men in the corner, but this early in a 15-rounder, he's going to need all the help he can get between rounds now to staunch that a bit. Half a minute to go in the second. Oh. Uses that right hand well now, the world champion, and he's got to. And it's the accuracy now of Marsh's punches that are counting. He might not claim to be the heaviest puncher of all, but he's accurate. That's what it's about. Make them count. Well, Jim, now there they are, working hard on that Ernie Fossey. Lots of pressure now. When you fellas are in the corner there's the analysis on the cuts, as I was saying. 4 times Marsh in previous fights and come back to win. Kameda's been cut, but then again he isn't at this point. Now the only guy in the place who doesn't know how bad it is, Jim, is I think Randy Newman now is the referee's looked down. I'm not sure whether he's going to call the doctor up to give him advice on it. No, he's just walking back over to the Japanese corner. Round 3. Well, at the moment, Jim, Marsh is the only one who doesn't know what kind of cut that is. Does that bother a boxer at this stage in a world championship?
Well, obviously in a 15 rounder, and it's bleeding already, Reg. In a 15 rounder, it's a terrible worry for Marsh. But I don't know how it could happen, because Kameda hasn't really offered anything at all. He hasn't seemed to throw any worthwhile punches. It must have been a clash of heads, because he's done nothing right so far, but this must have given him the lift he badly needed.
Jim, I think there's a second cut just happened, and it's just alongside it.
It looks like another cut nearer the nose, just the top of Marsh's nose, that Marsh is going to have to open out. No way can this fight go more than 3 or 4 rounds with Marsh so badly cut. He's going to have to give it all he has and go for a knockout here.
I know they're very concerned. I've just had word from the seconds in Marsh's corner there. They're very concerned. And indeed we all are, because it must have been a head clash to have done it like that so quickly. Well, what drama this is in a World Championship fight. What a tragedy it's going to be for Marsh if he's beaten by a cut like that. To lose an unbeaten record, and worse, the World Championship over it. I don't know whether the referee will decide it's a deliberate butt at all. He can't have done, because he didn't warn the Japanese early on. Low punches he's worn in for, that's fair enough. That's a lot less dangerous than... Well, Randy Newman, the referee now, is an old fighter who knows what the score is, Jim. He's had a look between rounds. He's not going to nag Marsh too much and keep looking at it all the time. Good refereeing.
This would be a tragedy if Marsh lost his title to Kameda in a cut eye, because Kameda doesn't look in the same class as Marsh. He's not in the same league. He's done absolutely nothing right. I don't know how he's managed to cut Marsh so badly. It must have been clashes of heads, because he hasn't even thrown really any worthwhile punches.
See, while he's getting well on top like this, he's going to get all the help he can get from the referee. He won't panic and get in there and stop it. I admire Marsh for getting on with it, because he knows he's got to have a little bit of desperation in there in the 3rd round, and the crowd are certainly willing him.
This is hard to believe, Reg. Marsh so badly cut, Kameda's actually going to the body. Kameda's last 3 or 4 punches have been to the body. He's not actually, it's as though he's apologetic about having cut Marsh. There he goes to the body again, look.
Yeah, but the head's roughing in as well there, Jim. That's worse for Marsh. He can take the punches to the body all night. Now, those seconds have dived in that ring there to get the 1 in 1,000 adrenaline out to staunch this blood. So Randy Newman now just going over there. He is having a check. He just may have to call a doctor. No, he's going to collect the judges' cards instead. They point up the end of each round, around there to Marsh. Now, Jim, in the previous round, this could well be the replay of how the heads came together. See what you think. Yes.
Yeah, definitely, a definite clash of heads. Accidental, of course. It wasn't a deliberate, but that was definitely bad enough to cause a cut.
Well, it gets a tough old business when you really get to the top and this happens. But knowing Marsh's grit, providing he can just stay away enough and not get in rough there, he could still stop this man. As Jim Watt said, he looks a league above this.
Kameda actually doesn't look very strong at 10 stone.
Now that's the way to come out fighting now. Well, first time of the sponsorship there with the Natural Vitality people. all the slimming pills and things, they say that he's got a slow heartbeat, Marsh, which allows him to have more energy normally than his opponents and throw more punches. So now let's hope the pills work. He picks that right hand off of Peaksy. The people in the boxes at the top of the Royal Albert Hall really can see that one from a long way off coming in and get the big cheers going in. And what an audience he's got here tonight, Terry Marsh. Now Hector Camacho and the great Sugar Ray Leonard with us at ringside. See, the referee's not allowing him to linger too much in close quarters there. He's certainly doing Marsh a favour, parting him quickly. Jimmy can still do it. He's holding up well, that
Of course he can still do it, yeah, because Kameda, as I said, is not in Marsh's league. He's really not had anything worthwhile to offer from the start of the fight. He doesn't seem strong. He doesn't seem to have any technique. The only thing that's keeping him in the fight is the cut over, or probably two cuts over Marsh's right eye. But even now, he's not even attacking the injury. Marsh has been pushing him back all the way. If Marsh keeps this going, then we must look for a stoppage victory.
I like that. I like the waving to somebody at the ringside there, Marsh. What a character. In all the trouble in the world, he's got time to think. Well, I tell you, Jim, the tension's absolutely unbearable now here at ringside, isn't it? Can he do it?
Well, the fact that he's got such a control on the fight, the referee can't be thinking of getting him out of there. If Marsh was taking punches and Kameda was in the fight, then we could maybe fear the referee pulling him out of there. But Marsh is dictating the action so much, Kameda is not in the fight.
So let's have a word with the great flamboyant lightweight champion, Hector Macho Man Camacho, with Jim Rosenthal.
Hector, what have you made of it so far?
I like what I see. He's everything I thought he was, and it looks good for me, okay? He's looking good, not great, because this guy would have blew him out a long time ago.
He made a little sign to you, Terry Marsh, there. Did you catch that at ringside?
I call it, there's nothing I could do with it. You know, it's his show, you know, if I'm here.
But what do you feel? Do you think he's going to win despite that cut?
He should be able, because he's more malicious, you know, than the Japanese guy. I'm here, I'm helping he wins, but if not, I can always take a trip to Japan.
Hector, thanks a lot.
So the Macho Man are now into round 5. Obviously, that's the fight that Terry Marsh is looking for, a real bonanza with the lightweight champion, who actually they've just stripped him of that, but he's still unbeaten, Hector Camacho, and won 2 world titles, and now wants to go for his 3rd. And secretly, I think he's rooting a bit for Marsh. It's more money for him. It's good to have a solid referee in there, Jim, who's certainly not panicking or making mistakes.
That's the reason I like to see ex-fighters as referees, because cuts don't frighten them. Newman probably cut a few times himself, but he's left Marsh all the way through this to go on with the job, and Marsh is doing a first-class job. Kameda has been right out of this fight for the last 2 or 3 rounds.
That left hand, there he goes again. Watch for that uppercut. It's a very difficult punch to throw, as professionals will tell you. But he's a game enough guy, this Japanese guy. He's maybe limited in ability, Jim, but he stands in there, don't mind pitching punches back when he can.
He doesn't seem to have any strength or snap legs. He seems as though doing 10 stone has been a problem to him, because he's never been able to match Marsh at all at close quarters, long range or anything. And at the end of the last round, he almost collapsed onto his stool, yet it's Marsh who's doing all the work. Marsh is the man who should be breathing heavily.
Yeah, we've got Macho Mans and Marsho Mans here tonight. Oh, that long right hand sunk in. He's going to drop this challenger. A series of punches with Marsh. He doesn't necessarily look for the one. He'll throw a whole fusillade at them. Not that it matters now, but he's got a bruising around the right high now, Kameda, but that certainly won't bother him. With a minute to go in the 5th. It's scheduled for 15. So there's the soccer-style chance from Marsh. As you say, Jim, he's definitely looking tired as well, Kameda, and he's the one who should have been full of running at this stage.
He's actually looked exhausted all the way through the fight. He's never had any snap or life about him. But we certainly can't doubt his courage, because he's taken some cracking punches from Marsh. I think if Marsh just had that little couple of ounces more power, Kameda would be out of there, but I think it's on its way.
Tell you what though, Jim, that's when the old chips are down and you're badly cut like that, that's when you show your fighting class, isn't it?
Oh, well, we never doubted Marsh's will to win, his desire. He showed that against Manley.
So there you are in Marsh's corner, and what a job they've all got to do in there. It's Fossey who's actually working harder there, and the other two just taking care of the rest of the... It has to be a bit of a teamwork going in there. But I would think if you had a fighter that was going to get cut, Jim, the fellow with Marsh's sort of reaction and mentality, he's the sort you want.
Yeah, Marsh has the perfect temperament there. He knows everything that's going on. He thinks things out. He never flaps, never panics. They realised that being cut so early had to take hold of the fight, and he's completely dictated the action since the first sign of blood on his eye.
Boxing Board of Control have got inspectors in the corner. You might see them now just getting out of the ring on the aprons there, just making sure no illegal substances are used, because as far as I know, nobody bothers to do that anymore. Round 6. And Jim Watt and I both think now that if Marsh can just keep that flow of punches going now, as he did when he won the championship against the American Joe Louis Manley, that he can stop this Japanese challenger. Seems that Marsh's cornermen are well pleased with how they've managed to be able to patch that up, and that Marsh has not complained at all, and they think their man now is well on his way to win. Now this is the time, Jim, when Marsh has really got to make the punches accurate, make everyone count now.
Well, I don't think Terry has to worry too much, because he knows he has the stamina, and obviously looking at Kameda, no way can he match him for stamina or anything else. Marsh can actually forget about the cuts, because he's dictating the action so much. It's all one-way traffic, so Marsh probably is not even thinking about the injuries on his eye.
Almost got trapped his foot in the rope there, Kameda. I tell you, the heavyweight referee will finish up the middleweight, Jim. He's working hard and perspiring like a good one. Just look at this. He's really putting on a show now, Marsh, isn't he? He's trying to turn it into an exhibition. He's showing a bit of contempt for him as well now, Jim.
Yeah, well, he's entitled to, because Kameda hasn't got the power or the strength to bother him the slightest. Marsh, believe it or not, he's actually enjoying himself. The worry of the cut is gone. That was more of a slip from tiredness, I think, Reg.
Yeah, he's going to give him a mandatory 8 there, and the Japanese definitely objected to that when he went down, said that was a slip. I agree with you. Now, 3 knockdowns in a round does not count under the IBF rules. It could be 1 knockdown, 2, or even 4 if necessary. it's the referee's discretion. Now, it's definitely a question of time, and when I say time, a round or two at the most, I would think, for Marsh now, because he's just wearing this fellow down now, the war of attrition, and he's winning it, the old Marine. So after that action then, it's a break for the boxers and a quick break for us, but we'll be right back. Well, what a sensation that was. Just as we went to that break there, Kameda fell on the ropes. He had to literally be hauled back in the corner, and when he got back to his stool, they took nearly the whole of the minute in that round to decide that he wasn't going to come out after the end of the sixth, and nobody knew it better than this man, Terry Marsh. And border control doctors there in the ring. He just completely ran out of gas. As Jim Watt and I were saying, it was only a question of when. But we were surprised, and I think Marsh was too, when he sort of collapsed on the ropes. He went back to a neutral corner and then had to be pulled back, and that was it. Well, there you are, through that damage there. It's almost a T-shaped cut there, and could lose a lot of fights over that. So the brass bands are playing there as he raises the IBF belt, and he'll be looking for the big one now, hopefully against Hector the Macho Man Camacho, although there is a nominated challenger called Frankie Warren, nothing to do with the promoter, who is the #1 contender as well. Land of Hope and Glory. And this fellow Terry Marsh is the best flag waver in the country at the moment. So if you can hear above that music, Jim Rosenthal, let's hear from the new world champion.
Right, Land of Hope and Glory blazing around, but I tell you what, you gave us a few frights with that cut.
He gave me a few frights. He was complaining about my head, but it was a clash of styles, him being a southpaw. I was trying the right hand, but he wisely came inside it, and the heads clashed. I could claim deliberate butts, but it's part of the game. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. But once I got it, I realised then that 15 rounds was out of the question. So I thought, you know, I'd have to go and break his heart. And you know, I think the final straw that done it was the fact that I let him have 3 shots to my body. It took a lot more out of him than it did to me. And, well, that done it, really.
We saw that, Terry. I think we reckon it wasn't a deliberate butt, but how worried were you that the referee might say, listen, your world title's gone?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't, because it wasn't a deliberate butt. The fact it was accidental, and I understand it's a no contest after 6 rounds. But, you know, I wanted to win by going out in style, and I think I've done that.
Here it is now. Look, here it is coming up, and you'll think you felt it. Here's your chance to see it.
Yeah. Well, say 6 of one and half a dozen the other.
Absolutely.
I was unfortunate the one that got it. You know, other times I've been the benefactor.
Now, listen, you're a bit of a chess player, and I reckon you've planned things in advance. You must have had things sorted out. If I win here, they'll say, what now? What now?
To be perfectly honest, Jim, come the 3rd round, I made up my mind. I was going to get stopped with a cut eye. I thought I'd do the best I could while I was there, and then have to fade into oblivious retirement as the defeated champion, another defeated champion. I'm going to leave my options open, sleep on it, get the eye sorted out, not necessarily in that order, and then you know, I'll consider things. But, in a perfect world, I would retire at this moment.
I think you've come a little bit too late. I think you ought to make that speech at the election or something like that, Terry. But listen, Hector Camacho was down with us. He said he liked what he saw, which means he fancied the job against you, and I think you fancied against him a bit.
Well, he passed some nice remarks questioning my manhood at the press conference, so I did blow him a few kisses and give him a few smiles, along with Sugar Ray. So I think they smiled back, so they appreciated it.
Now listen, you can't retire when you can raise atmosphere like this, Land of Hope and Glory, and give us boxing nights like this, surely.
Only time will tell. The price has got to be right. Hector's talking in dollars. We're in Britain, I'm talking in pounds. I think that may be the stumbling block.
Good night's work, Terry. Very well done.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, it's certainly a friendly finish there, Jim, by Kameda. Is almost apologetic there. And Walter Stone, the lawyer from Rhode Island, he makes the official belt presentation. And the sponsors, Natural Vitality, there's all smiles with a large cup to present to Terry Marsh. And somewhere in the ring, we're going to see Hector Camacho as well. So there you are then. Terry Marsh still the great world champion, and he really was in danger at times there.